questions and answers part 4. So in this session, we will see complications of neglected mouth, preventive measures in decubitus ulcer, nursing management of decubitus ulcer, patient with continuous bladder drainage, nursing intervention of patient with incontinence of urine, nursing intervention of patient with retention of urine, role of the nurse in collection of specimen, safety precautions during oxygen administration, principles of body mechanics, and beneficial effects of exercise. So first is the complications of a neglected mouth. The first one is local infection. Mouth is in the mouth present all the requirements for the bacterial growth, thus warmth, moisture, and food supply from the residual food on and between the teeth and protected environment. The number of bacteria in the mouth depends on the degree of cleanliness. A neglected mouth can cause various types of infection in the oral cavity. Gingivitis, that is the inflammation of the gums. Glossitis, that is the inflammation of the tongues. Root abscess, the pus formation in the root of the teeth. Stomatitis, inflammation of the mucous membrane of the mouth. Cancrum oris, that is gangrenous stomatitis. Dental caries. Bacillus acidophilus, a normal inhabitant of mouth cavity, acts on the carbohydrate material that has been left on the surfaces, pits, and fissures of the teeth, produces lactic acid that dissolves the tooth structure and forms cavities in the teeth. When these cavities reach the pulp cavity dies. Once the decay has started, there is no cure. Periodontal disease. This is also known as pyorrhea or pus formation in the sockets of the teeth. This is common cause for the loss of teeth in the people over 40 years of age. Formation of salts. Brown crust on the teeth and lips are called salts. It is the collection of food, mucus, and bacteria. Formation of calculus. A sticky, colorless layer of mucus material containing streptococcus forms on the teeth. If it is not allowed to remain on the teeth, it becomes calcified. Bleeding gums, use of hard brush for the brushing teeth, and deficiency of vitamin C. Bad breath. If the mouth is not cleaned properly, there will be bad breath due to complication of food material left behind the mouth, also called halitosis. Second is preventive measures of decubitus ulcer. Decubitus ulcer, also known as pressure sores or decubiti, are ulcerated or slugged area of tissue subjected to pressure from lying on a mattress or sitting on a chair for a prolonged period of time, resulting in slowing of the circulation and finally death of the tissue. The preventive measures include identification of the clients who are particularly prone to develop decubitus ulcer, daily examination of the decubitus prone clients for redness, discoloration, or blisters on the pressure points, and they should be reported and treated immediately. Keep the clients clean and dry. Change the position of the client every 2 hours so that another body surface bears the body weight. Use bed cradle to take off weight of bed linen of the client so as to enable him to move in the bed with ease. Keep the client's skin well lubricated to prevent crackling. Protect the damaged skin. Damaged skin can be further irritated by the macerated by urine, feces, sweat, etc. Provide the client with adequate fluids with a nourishing diet that is high in protein and vitamins. Attend the pressure points as often as necessary to stimulate circulation. The client who is liable to bed sore must have their back treated 2 hourly or more often. The back is washed with soap and warm water, dried and massaged with powder, avoiding using excess alcohol for bath rub because it dries the skin and causes skin damage. Attending to the backbone alone is not sufficient but should include the pressure areas like iliac crest, ankles, elbow, and other pressure areas. Call assistance and lift the client before giving and taking bedpans. If the bedpan is chipped, care should be given to avoid friction. Provide a smooth, firm, and wrinkle-free bed on which the client can take rest. Use special mattress and beds to decrease the pressure on the body parts. Cut short the nails of the client to avoid scratching on the skin. Use adequate amount of cotton under splints and plaster cast to prevent friction. Use comfort devices to take off pressure from the pressure points. Encourage client to move in bed as far as possible. Change the linen as soon as they become wet. Teach the client and the relatives the hygienic care of the skin. Nursing management of decubitus ulcer. The early symptom of pressure sore is redness, tenderness, discomfort, and smarting. The area becomes cold to touch and insensitive. There is local edema. Later, the area becomes blue, purple, or mottled. Due to continued pressure, the circulation is cut off and gangrene develops and affected areas slug off. Despite of the conspicuous use of preventive measures, certain clients, because of their extremely debilitated conditions, or develop pressure sore. This pressure sore, once developed, are difficult to treat. The nurse should remember that pressure sore are prone to infections. Moist and poorly nourished tissue is a good medium for growth of pathogenic bacteria. Therefore, all precautions are taken to protect the wound from contamination. The nursing management includes, whenever possible, take off pressure from the decubitus ulcers by placing the client on the pillows or foam cushions or change the position of the client. This helps in preventing the formation of bed sore in a new area. Prevent ulcerated area from becoming infected. The infection will retard healing of an ulcer. Follow strict aseptic technique. A cleaning agent is used to clean the ulcerated area. Apply all possible measures for healing the wound, like heat applied by electric bulb. This placed for 45 to 60 centimeter away from the wound and is left placed in for 10 minutes. Application of few drops of insulin is dropped from the syringe and healing effect on the wound. The wound is exposed air to dry. Then application of waterproof ointment on the surface of the wound will prevent infection of underlying tissue. It will be much value in the clients with incontinence of urine. If the slug is present, clean the area thoroughly twice a day with hydrogen peroxide diluted with the distilled water. If the slug is loose, the physician may cut off the slug. If there is delay in healing of the wound, the surgeon may debride the ulcer and skin graft may applied over the ulcerated area. If the infection is settled, it may be necessary to give some of the antibiotics prescribed by the physician. Patient with continuous bladder drainage. Make sure that there is no kinks or twist in the tubing. Obstruction in the flow of urine causes accumulation of urine in the bladder, and this will lead to infection. The urine drainage bag should be kept below the level of bladder. When the bag is higher, the level of bladder, urine can flow back into the bladder, which increases the risk of infection. If the bag is to be raised above the bladder level, tubing should be kinked with the fingers or by using the clamps. Empty the drainage bag regularly. Urine left in the collection bag or for longer period of time is an excellent medium for growth of microorganisms. So it should be emptied at least 8 hours or more frequently if the urine output is high. At least 3000 ml of fluid should be consumed. A continuous downward flow of urine from the kidney to collection bag is thought to impending ascent bacterial infection. Perineal care. Main aim of the perineal care given to reduce the number of bacteria present and to remove any crust from the catheter itself, because crust may result in tissue erosion as the catheter moves in and out of urethra. Acidification of urine by the dietary adjustment. Since lower the pH seems to inhibit the growth of the microorganism. Secure the catheter properly. Prevent pressure and pulling of the catheter from the urethra. Nursing management of patient with incontinence of urine. Major goal for the person with incontinence of urine is to achieve reduction in incontinence, or in some instances achieve the continence. For the client with total incontinence, the goal is to maintain dry skin. The treatment is collaborative effort of patient, nurse and family. It includes pelvic muscle exercise or Kegel exercise, improve the control of urination through the active exercise of pubococcygeus muscle. To be effective, the exercise must taught properly and reinforced frequently. Habit training. The goal of habit training is to keep the client dry rather than to alert bladder function. Habit training involves developing a voiding schedule that is adjusted to the needs of the person. Bladder training. The goal of bladder training is to extend the interval between voiding. The individual is taught to suppress the urge sensation by using various relaxation methods. This breaks the habit of frequent voidings, increases the bladder capacity, and lessens the urgency sensation. Relaxation training. This helps the individual to control urge to void. This is effective intervention for those diagnosed as having urge incontinence. Hydration therapy. Fluid intake should be maintained at the minimum of 1500 ml per day. Unless contraindicated for therapeutic reasons, instruct the person to space the fluid intake throughout the day and limit the evening to reduce the urine production during the night. Bowel regimen. Chronic constipation and fecal impaction are correctable causes of urinary incontinence. A diet high in fiber will relieve the constipation. Environmental modification. Certain environmental barriers may contribute to the incontinence in elderly. Finding ways to increase ease of toileting or decrease the time needed to get toilet may promote incontinence. Skincare. Incontinence causes skin irritation and breakdown. Constantly moist skin becomes macerated. Also, over the time, urine is converted to ammonia, which is then irritating to the skin. Skin irritation is painful and predispose the client to develop pressure sores. Keep the skin clean and dry. Nursing intervention of a patient with retention of urine. Before resorting to catheterization or even before reporting the client cannot pass urine, an intelligent nurse will use all her knowledge and skill to aid the client to empty the bladder by natural methods. It includes assist the client or his or her normal position for voiding, provide privacy. Even children may accustom privacy and may unable to void in the presence of another person unless contraindicated. The client left alone for some time when they are on the bedpan. I offer bedpan or urinal that is warm. If the cold, it may cause contraction of the perineal muscle. Foster the muscle relaxation by providing necessary physical support to the client and relieving the pain. Local application of the heat to the perineum and lower abdomen by pouring warm water or by application of hot water bottle or by sitz bath can foster muscle relaxation and thereby act of maturation. Provide assistance when client first feels the need to void by waiting for bedpan and the desire to void may pass off. Maturation is a conditioned response. Running water within the hearing of the client or flushing the toilet stimulate the maturation reflex. These techniques not only suggest the act of maturation but also make sound of voiding. Thus the client become confident to pass urine. Provide enough time for voiding. Never show hurry as this may cause tension in the client and leads to contraction of the sphincter muscle. Reassurance and emotional support are helpful to relax the client. A hot enema is permitted may relieve the retention of urine. Give fluids freely unless contraindicated. When all these nursing measures fails, catheterization of the bladder is done with the doctor's permission. Role of the nurse in collection of specimen. A specimen may be defined as a small quantity of substance or object which shows the kind and quality of the wort. Nurse responsibilities in the specimen collection include preparation of the client. Although working knowledge of a diagnostic test will help the nurse to prepare the client. Put the client at ease, the nurse must explain the test with clarity and compassion. This will help to gain the client's trust and cooperation and thus ensures more accurate results. Proper understanding of the procedure will help to gain informed consent. When preparing a client, nurse's explanation should be clear, straightforward, and complete. Preparation should be include telling the client about purpose of the test, what to expect, how long procedure will take, and how soon the results will be available. While assessing the physician with the test, talk to the client throughout the procedure, so comfort him and encourage him. Some tests require more detailed instructions to promote cooperation and ensure accurate specimen collections, especially when the client modifies his behavior before the test and when he will be collecting the specimen by himself. Whenever possible, reinforce nurse verbal instruction with appropriate information. On the previous day, explain procedure to the client, explain what specimen to collect, when to collect, how to collect, and amount to be collected. Provide an appropriate container and demonstrate the client how to use it. Instruct the client not to contaminate outside of the container. Informed consent. The physician may explain procedure, purpose, how it will be performed, and potential risk. The nurse typically reinforces the physician's explanations, confirms the client's comprehension, and verifies that the written consent has been given whenever necessary. The client retains the legal right to withdraw the written or oral consent at any time or any reason to refuse the care or the treatment. Safety measures. Proper collections of specimen not only helps to ensure accurate test result but also protect the client and nurse. Nurse must see that they use gloves and other barriers as necessary. Before the nurse is exposed to the client's body fluid, she should make sure to observe appropriate precautions. Preparation of the equipments. All the specimens are to be collected in the clear and dry containers. Use containers with wide mouth. Sterile containers are used to collect specimens for culture. Wax-lined disposable containers are used for collection of sputum and stool specimen. Large containers are used to collect 24 hours urine specimen. Clean slides used to collect smears. Sterile test tubes used to collect fluids. Documentation. Soon after collection of the specimen, it must be labeled clearly with the client's identification data, date and time of collection, and should follow the request from the duly filled and signed by the nurse who sends the specimen for examination. It must be documented in the client's chart also. Safety precautions while administering oxygen. Or since oxygen acts as a drug, it must be prescribed and administered in specific doses in order to avoid oxygen toxicity. While when using oxygen cylinder, use regulator and humidifier. The purpose of regulator is to reduce the pressure of oxygen in the cylinder to safer level. Humidifier helps to saturate the oxygen with the water vapor to prevent drying of the mucous membrane and the respiratory tract. Every part of the apparatus should be cleaned to prevent infection. Disposable nasal catheter or sterilized rubber catheters should be used. A change in nasal catheter at least 8 hours or more often because the mucus may plug the opening of the catheter and blocks the oxygen supply. Lubricate the nasal catheter sparingly while oxygen is on flow. Oxygen administration never stopped unless factors causing hypoxia are reversed. When the oxygen therapy is discontinued, it should be done gradually. Pay attention to the condition that can be interfere with the flow of oxygen from the source of the patient. Prevent deprivation of oxygen resulting from the depletion of oxygen from the cylinder. The nurse should get a new one ready at hand. Since oxygen support combustion, the fire precautions are to be taken when the oxygen is on floor. Watch patients receiving oxygen therapy. Principles of body mechanics. Body mechanics is defined as using alignment, posture, and balance in a coordinated effort to perform activities just lifting, bending, and moving. The main principles involved in the body mechanics are proper balancing of all body parts helps to conserve the energy. Stability of the body is maintained by having a greater base of support. Injury and strain on the lower back can be avoided by performing pelvic tilt before the activity. Facing the direction of the work will help to avoid chances of injury. Initiating movement requiring more energy than maintaining the movement of an object. Moving an object of a level surface on which it is moved requires less energy. Holding an object close to the body requires less energy than holding it further away. Muscle strain can be avoided by using strong leg muscles when lifting, pushing, and lifting. Smooth continuous movements are easier and safer than sudden sharp or uncontrolled movements. Using rhythmic movements at the normal speed require less energy. Beneficial effects of exercise. Exercise is a performance of physical exertion for improvement of the health or correction of deformity. The beneficial effects of the exercise are on the musculoskeletal system, maintain the muscle tone, maintains joint mobility, prevents and corrects deformities like foot drops, ankylosis, maintains the bone density and prevents osteoporosis. On the cardiovascular system, stimulate the blood circulation and prevent venous stasis, assist in exchange of oxygen and nutrients to tissues and waste products from the tissue, prevents varicose vein, helps to reduce edema, helps to reduce the workload of the heart, prevents venous drainage on the gastrointestinal system, improves appetite, prevents constipation, prevents flatulence on the excretory system, promote urinary function by stimulating the blood circulation to the kidney and help in accumulation of waste products, prevents stagnation of urine and formation of renal calculi, promotes elimination through the skin on respiratory system, improves the lung ventilation, prevents atelectasis, prevents collection of secretion in the lungs. On the mental process, promotes physical and mental well-being, prevents depression and boredom, restores a sense of relaxation and equilibrium, improves the memory power, provides an outlet for emotional extension. Others include prevents bed sore and adds to the beauty. Thank you. Thank you for listening.